Housewives of Jersey to the daughter of one. Let's talk about Giudice, who people are dragging on social media because she says she's fiscally independent despite living at home with her mother. So Giudice, daughter of Teresa Giudice from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, or Giudice, whatever, tomato, is facing online backlash for basically saying she's financially on her own, despite the fact that she lives with her mother in that house in Jersey. So the 23-year-old is the eldest daughter of reality star Teresa and her ex-husband Joe, and frequently flaunts her lavish life on screen as well as on her social media. Really, because I be watching Gia on The Housewives, and she don't really flaunt her lavish lifestyle. A lot of times when you see Gia on the show, she's either in her room studying for the LSATs, because she's studying to be a lawyer, and then or she's like in she's always around the house. Or recently when her mother did the Namaste Bitches podcast with a live audience, whatever the case was, um, she would show up with her boyfriend and her sisters and that sort of thing. So I've never really seen Gia flaunt herself in a way of like, oh yeah, I'm living fabulous. Like I haven't seen that. Maybe she's doing it on social media. I don't follow her on there, but if that's what they're saying, we'll go along with it. But I watched the show and I have not seen her flaunt herself, like her glam stuff on TV. If she has and I missed it, let me know in the comments. So they said, and although viewers may think her glamorous life is thanks to her TV star mom, Teresa, who's 52, Gia is setting the record straight by letting fans know that she earns and spends all of her own cash. Now, while speaking with Jason Tartick on his podcast, Trading Secrets, Gia bragged about her latest lavish purchase before claiming to listeners she didn't rely on her parents to fund her costly lifestyle. Following her comments, Gia, who's still living in her mom's house, was furiously mocked by viewers who teased her for branding herself financially independent despite residing with her family. When the money resides, when the money resides. When asked about the funds she made by starring on the show, she stated that she pays for everything herself. She says, I don't really get money from my parents anymore. Financially, I really am on my own, and that's also a big misconception. People don't think I'm on my own. People think that I live off mommy and daddy's money. Well, how you living off your father's money? First of all, your father went to federal prison. Now he's residing in, I think the Bahamas because he was not an American citizen. So he's been evicted from the United States. And I guess he can't come back. So her mother still lives here, but she's got that no good ass new husband. So I don't know if she's referring to her stepfather. Then they said, then Gia admitted that her role in the reality series has helped her bring home a flood of cash to splash out on grand purchases. I have definitely been able to change my life, and I'm grateful for that. I recently leased myself a Porsche, so that was a big girl purchase for me. Gia also had something to say about trolls who criticized her for living at home. She said, I do still live at home, my family, but financially, I do still cover everything myself. However, fans weren't quite buying Gia's claims and noted that she couldn't be financially independent if she was still living with Teresa and her mom's second husband, Louis Ruelas. One person said, I mean, I could lease a Porsche if I live with my parents. Another person said, on my own and my mom's, and did a bunch of laugh emojis. Another person said, I'm on my own, aka I buy my own makeup and some clothes. She's totally on her own. I pay for my own Starbucks. My mom isn't there. One person, so that says, further in the podcast, Gia also revealed that she's already looking ahead on her next career venture. The next thing for sure is I want to start investing in the properties. And that was how my dad started. Actually, he's very familiar with the business, with how it worked. Well, girl, you don't want to follow him because you're going to end up in jail too. So if you want to find them on properties, do it the right way. Don't do robbing Peter to pay Paul and all that white collar crime shit, because you're going to end up in probably the same prison your mother was in. And also, you better start investing because word on the street is, everybody's names is on the chopping block. Teresa may not be coming back next season to the Housewives of New Jersey. The show has been excruciatingly toxic. And nobody, I just feel like, yeah, you don't have a chance of like possibly coming back. So you need to save your money. And let's not be so, and young people a lot of times can be very irresponsible when it comes to, oh yeah, I got all this great money from the housewives and stuff, and nobody knows how much money she's actually made from being on the show. But um you spend your money wisely. Don't be so quick to be out here spending money that, if there's no guarantee you're gonna get a flood of the coins coming back on the show. Um Oh, they were showing like she's wearing a orange bikini. We don't need to see all of that. But you know what? Her mother and Louis has been hanging, like traveling a lot. They were in Mykonos. They've been taking a lot of trips. There was people saying that Melissa was copying over her because she went on a recent trip. I think it was to the Dominican Republic or somewhere, and she was doing like the similar pose and all. I was like, okay, whatever. Y'all all do that tit for tat shit, but to sit and talk about this situation. Because she is a graduate of Rutgers University, so shout out to her. Went to law school to become a lawyer, and I think her father inspired her with that. But now I guess she wants to get into real estate, so which is smart because it's like you got to be able to invest your money and stuff, especially if you have a lot of it. To see it grow, you have to invest it. But the question remains: is somebody independent if they still live at home? Well, maybe we should address the big elephant in the room that is becoming increasingly difficult for a lot of people to sustain an income and live on their own with these high, rent hikes. I was trying to think of what would be the proper way of saying it, but it's like with it becoming increasingly difficult for people to maintain their living situations, where every year or two y'all want to keep raising the rent prices and price gouging in a lot of different situations. And this is why I need both sides of the Republican, Democrat. Even though we already know Trump is just going to keep ranting about the same BS, but Kamala, you need to come out and speak on some of this stuff. Like, what are y'all going to do about this inflation of rent, mortgage, people trying to own a home, the fact of like the food prices, the gas prices, all these things keep going up, up, up and up. And these companies, these corporations continue to take so much off the top, but then all of us out here are just stuck paying so much stuff and we're struggling to make ends meet. So you have a lot more kids, especially Gen Z and millennials, have been resorted to moving back home because of the situation, because of like what's going on in the world. So for people to be so quick to go in on Gia for living at home, we don't know the real reason why she's still living at home. Maybe it's also because her mother has this amazing house and she's living good right now. But as long as she's taking care of herself, as long as she's spending her own money and not got her hand out to her mother, and even if you're living at home, I hope there's some type of deal or negotiated, but I doubt that Teresa's even doing this. But I know when I was living at home with my parents and that whole situation, like I had to pay rent. I remember, it's like, if you're going to live in my house, you got to pay me some money. And I don't see a problem with that. I feel like that shows a sense of independence that, yeah, I may be living at home, but I'm also giving money to as showing that I'm contributing to something. And I don't think that Teresa would do that to her children. She's very old school Italian in a lot of her ways. So as long as she got her kids around, I think she's happy. So she's not even going to probably press Gia on, or you got to pay rent if you're going to be living up in this house. So as long as, like I said, as long as she's taking care of herself and she's spending her own money on herself and not depending on her mother and anybody else to financially support her or a man, I don't see a problem with living at home with your parents, especially, like I said, we need to address the big elephant in the room, which is a lot of kids are forced them have to move back home because it's impossible with the way the job markets are to secure enough money to be able to afford an apartment. One bedroom should not be no damn over $2,000, not no New York or not anywhere. Like nobody should be paying a shit ton of money for an apartment. Or you got to do, Section 8 or lotteries and stuff to even get a nice apartment these days. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.